Hey everyone, Rob from Southgate Media Group here. Before we get started with this podcast, we have a quick message. If this is your first time checking out the show, we love that you found us and we really hope you enjoy it. What we have to say is for the subscribers, if you enjoy our shows, would you please donate to help keep these going? We don't want to have to put traditional ads on these shows, but this does cost money. So we really do rely heavily on donations. To make a donation to the show, please go to our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. Go to the page for the show, and in the upper right-hand corner is a donate button. It takes you right to PayPal, and you can donate whatever amount you want. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. And now, on with the show.
Welcome back to the Common Tech Files, Southgate Media Group podcast dedicated to the sometimes hit NBC show Heroes, as well as the upcoming sequel series Heroes Born. I'm Lilith, and on the hunt for specialty, as always, is
Ricky.
Up for discussion today is another bummer summer episode 310, Eclipse Part 1.
We're nearly there.
I think that's the mantra for this episode. We're almost...
For this episode, I think it's for like the last block of like 4 episodes, but yeah. it's going to be funny to look back on like over the iTunes and just see like everything's like really long, and then you've got like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So yeah.
Clear indicator. Ricky and Lilith had nothing nice to say.
Yeah, let's just go straight into it.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get into the recap. The original air date for this episode was November 24th. Ooh, a couple days before Thanksgiving, 2008. It was written by Aaron E. Coletti and Joe Bukowski. This was directed by, you guessed it, Greg Beeman.
Ooh. So, synopsis time. A second eclipse causes all of the heroes to lose their abilities. Arthur sends Elle and Sylar to capture Claire, who is under the care of her father and training to be able to fight off the villains. Claire is shot by Elle and can't heal without her powers. Elsewhere, Peter and Nathan go in search of the Haitian, while Matt, Hiro, and Ando follow Daphne to find out what she has been hiding.
Well, I think it touched on every major player and plot point except for this fun little fact that Wiki likes to say, Mohinder wiggles under Arthur's iron will, and I'm like, slash fit! People, places, and things. Arthur's drawings, aka Isaac Point, 9 at this point?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
9.0. We go to Lawrence, Kansas. Supernatural fans, shout it out. We deal with the Eclipse taking away powers. And we finally learn Daphne's secret, the Millbrooks home/farm.
Yes.
And we finally get around to a little bit about Renee, aka the Haitian's brother, experiencing meeting.
Let us start with, I think, the main crux of the episode. Let's start with Claire and HRG.
They're insufferable at this point.
Yes, definitely. And it's not even just the fact that they're insufferable. It's like they hate each other, they like each other, they hate each other, they like each other. So yeah, it just happens like pretty much every couple of episodes that they seem to reconciliate, and then something happens which makes them break apart again.
Is this like supposed to be a satirical take on the father-daughter relationship? Because, I don't know, I was a good teen. I didn't really have problems with my parents.
At the end of the last episode, you had the superhero good team being brought together. Right at the beginning, Angela says, okay, I'm going to pair you off, and you're all going to go and do your own thing, which kind of negates the fact that you have a superhero team. The fact that, you know, you're just going to split them all up straight away. Fair enough, whatever. You have to start like pushing the story forward, and that's how you're going to do it, by splitting people up. Some of the team ups tell stories which seem like they go on for a bit longer, but this Claire and HRG one is basically just another reason for them to have their father-daughter, I'm angry at you, oh, I forgive you moment, which is basically the crux of their little aside here.
Yeah, so basically what it is, the good guys do team up at Primatech Paper Company, and then, like, so Noah's there, and then they're like, okay, you and Clara go off. So they go back to Stephen Canfield's, like, deserted house.
They go back there because they couldn't be bothered to find another set.
Exactly. And so, like, Claire's, like, all angry, and so Noah's like, I know what we'll do. I'll teach you how to fight using these planks.
Yeah. I'll teach you using to fight using baseball. Because that's essentially what he's doing. He's just getting her to, like, swing a bat at a
There's
pillar.
no crying in baseball.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Oh god. So like we'll get into obviously a little bit more detail, but Elle and Sylar appear, and like just when you think they actually do have the upper hand, we see that they don't have any powers, and then like Noah wrestles with Sylar and is almost shot by Elle, and then Claire takes a bullet for HRG,
Yeah.
and in revenge Noah like dislocates Sylar's arm and just straight. What is the opposite of donkey punch? Because whatever that is, that's what he did to Elle. Donkey punch is in the back. Whatever the front version of that is.
No, he doesn't. He just gives her a straight baseball swing, and it's like a home run. She like does a spin, lands on the floor, and that's the end of that.
And then he's like carries Claire away, and he's like, and then he brings her home, and she's still bleeding. And Sandra's like, "Yo, let's call 911." And he's like, "Nah, man, gunshot, police, 5-0." And then he's like, leaves his literally dying daughter to go take revenge on Elle and Sylar. And this is at the point where I'm like, why would you do this to me? This has literally ruined HRG to the next part.
Yes. It's just, at the beginning of this episode, they're at loggerheads, and, she's obviously got a lot of resentment in the fact that he keeps on leaving, and they kind of work it out, and it seems like they're on an even kind of like level playing field, and they've kind of forgiven each other, especially the fact that, even though she's angry at him, she still takes a bullet for him. And then he just goes and ruins it all by just leaving once again. I can understand why he's leaving, but at the same time, your daughter who hasn't like been ill for like ever. And, he's a smart man, he should know what's going on with all these kind of specials, and he should know that, she hasn't been ill since she was a kid, so she's going to be, like, really fucked up at this point, because obviously her immune system is shot to hell. So, yeah, he should know this, but obviously revenge is more in his mindset than his own daughter. Well, obviously we'll get into that into the next episode. But the episode ends with HRG goes back to the house where where Sylar and Elle are. He's got them in his sights, and he doesn't take the shot.
He wants to get up close and personal.
It's not even that. He wants to creep on them and watch them, do whatever they're going to be doing. But we might as well talk about Sylar and Elle now, because...
Yeah, the fun part of the episode.
Yeah.
That's pretty sad when it's Sylar, and I'm like, ugh, that's the fun part of that. I was never a fan of this Sylar and Elle thing, but because I love Kristen Bell, I was like, well, it's something for her to do. Like, I just never understood it. I never believed it. And I was just like, okay, you killed your dad, dude.
I know.
I know Bob was a dick, but, come on.
It's just a really weird relationship.
So we pick up with them, like, at Pinehurst. And Sylar's in the room, and he's practicing his new ability. And then Elle walks in, and Sylar mentions that he has to prove himself. And then she's like, to whom? Of course, he doesn't answer. Arthur comes to tell Sylar to find Claire. Elle joins him, and I'm like, wait, one of us, one of them, it's two of them.
No, but this is Pinehurst. They roll on different rules.
Which is why they fail ultimately.
Yeah.
Anyway, they fly to LAX, and they enter Hotspur car rental. But Elle confronts Sylar about being his own person. He scuffles with the clerk, then that's all over. And then so Elle and Sylar drive to the Canfields' home. They attack Claire and Noah. That's where this crosses over. And they both realize that they've lost their abilities. And Sylar is happy he doesn't feel the hunger.
Yeah.
I'm just like...
But also I think it's a case of like the hunger also made him want to figure out how things work. And because he doesn't have that with him anymore, he feels like he's free of just having to like fixate on trying to figure out how something works. And because he's got that kind of freedom, it's kind of given him free will to do what he wants, and he does what he wants. And that's all I'll say about that.
But my favorite part of it is it's like HRG's been a straight creeper. He's like, they're kissing and Noah like aims a sniper rifle at them. He sees what they're doing. He's like, hold on, wait. There might be a good part. I'll hold off.
We haven't got broadband yet. I'm still on that crappy dial-up. But yeah, let's break down the Sylar-Elle relationship now, because obviously we can, I guess. So, in the flashback, we figure out that, she cared for him and he cared for her, even though it was kind of like a fake relationship, so to speak. Then, Sylar kills Elle's father, and then Sylar saves Elle. Like, they save each other. you know, with the empathy and her figuring out that her power was just overloaded. This week, we've got whatever Elle is doing to try and taunt Sylar into doing whatever with the car rental agent. Like, that was really, like, weird. Like, suddenly went back into a kind of, like, her sadomasochistic kind of, when we first met her kind of persona. And, yeah.
But, like, amped up to the max. Like, let's just kill a dude. I'm like, what is this? It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. The gang kills a dude.
Yeah, exactly. The way that they flip-flop these characters and their relationship, so to speak, it's kind of the same thing that they do with Claire and HRG. Like in one episode they will be one way, and in the next episode they'll be completely different. Like, you think that they kind of seem like a normal couple at the end of the last episode, and then this one they just go completely the other direction, and then they end up being kind of a normal couple because of, obviously, you know, they don't have their powers.
Yeah, but, like, it's weird that it's Elle that, like, wants to go all natural born killers. Like, you would think she would just want it to be, like, happy and run away and, like, live in Mexico with Sylar, you know what I mean? She's like, let's just kill people and take what we...
Especially as she felt, like, quite a lot of guilt about making Sylar into this kind of demon kind of monster character. It's weird that she wants to push him back into doing that, because that's what she's essentially doing with this rental car agent. It's really weird. I will say weird a lot more times in these next two episodes, but yeah.
It's better than, wait, plot twist, surprise!
Exactly.
So I'll take it.
There is one thing I do want to bring up. I love the fact that HRG is just a badass as soon as, like, he realizes that none of them have their powers. And it makes sense because they've been over-reliant on their powers so much. And the way he's able to take out Sylar so quickly, and just the way, you know, he dislocates his arm, he takes out Elle, and then he just, like, walks out like a boss with, like, Claire in his arms. Yeah, it's so cool. But then they go and ruin it, so yeah.
Yeah. We gotta talk about Peter and Nathan now.
They get sent to go find the Haitian, and it starts off with that. They have that conversation about how Peter needs to know that he can be a hero without his powers. And that's kind of what this episode is about. It's not the powers that make the hero, it's, you know, the person that makes the hero, is essentially what they're kind of saying. Especially in the fact of, like, Peter, because he's the one who's always trying to move forward. And then this episode kind of brings up how him and his brother have very differing views. After season 2, where they were really good brothers, you know, they wanted to be close to each other, and, you know, just this one episode has kind of brought them back to, like, season 1 kind of arguing, like, bickering. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And I do like the fact that Peter brings up the fact that he's hated having to play second fiddle to Nathan, like, through most of his life, because obviously Nathan's the older one, he's been Dad's favourite, and all that kind of stuff.
He's easily manipulated.
Yeah.
As we learn.
Exactly.
The Petrelli Cess magic is gone in this particular segment.
In the rest of this season, but yeah.
Unfortunately. That was kind of a misstep for me, what I always... Because it just looks like they're both just dumb as a box of used rocks at this point.
Yeah, exactly. And their bickering just doesn't help anything. It takes the Haitian coming to them and just being like, I've got to try and stop my brother, for them to kind of listen to reason with someone else. But yeah. But, you know, Haitian gets his...
You don't learn that for a lot more episodes, bro.
And it's just such a throwaway kind of line that you kind of will miss unless you really pick up on it.
Well, no, then, like, the next 3 episodes after that, they proceed to call him that. So it's like, in case you missed it, let's drill it into your head.
But there is something in the next episode which I think has to be brought up in the fact that, you know, he's called the Haitian. So, yeah. But, yeah, we might as well move on to, Matt, Hiro, Ando, and Daphne.
They go chasing Daphne.
Yeah. So it starts off with Hiro and Ando turning up at Matt and Daphne's door with the issue of Ninth Wonders, and Matt and Daphne are having an argument, and there's a pause when he says whether or not he trusts her, I think it is. Yeah. And he pauses, and then she just picks on that, and I think she's just using it as a reason just to get away from everything.
Specifically Matt, and I don't blame his point. She's like, wait, hold on, this is moving too fast.
Do you agree with her? Or do you think she was just using, like, that pause as an excuse? What do you think?
I definitely think she was using it as an excuse, but I don't know. I'm not a speedster. Maybe milliseconds do feel like eternities. And, I don't think that Matt should have trusted her. I didn't believe him when he said it. So, he wasn't very convincing. Did you believe him when he said it? I mean, Matt's stupid, but he ain't that stupid.
I don't know if he's stupid, but I think it's something we've got to bring it back to the kind of Janice thing, and he just takes what is in front of him and he settles for it, and I think that's kind of what he's doing here. He's not the smartest person in the world, and having his life predetermined for him and knowing what's going to happen makes life easier for him because he doesn't really have to make his own decisions, and that's kind of what's pushing him towards Daphne, I think. And it's not until much later on where I start to believe in that kind of Matt and Daphne kind of relationship, but just at this point, in hindsight anyway, it's just far too quick.
I will say this about Daphne: she's the only female character that I think on any of my favorite shows that I watched where I was glad she got refrigerated.
Oh man! So she runs off, and the guys do the smartest thing and look in the book to see what they should do next, and they end up at Kansas and
Kansas. Yes.
They end up there.
Heart of Middle America.
I think there's a recurring theme. I spotted it. There's a recurring theme of whenever an eclipse happens, Hiro's Nakamura is always looking up at it. And I spotted that in this one because obviously there's the one on the top of the Yamagata roof. There's one when he sees it back in Japan, and it repeats itself here. This episode basically has Matt go to the door and try and use his brain thingy, as he calls it, which really hurts my feelings because he should know by now that it's called telepathy on the dads. And I think that's, instead of using Hiro as comedy this episode, they always use the fact that the heroes don't have powers as comedy. So you can kind of laugh at Matt doing his head to the side thing, or Sylar trying to move something and it not moving. I think that's the point of that, they try and use the comedy in this episode. So Hiro and Ando end up, they leave Matt to try and work his way back into Daphne's heart. And they end up going to the comic book store where we get probably the most disappointing kind of cameo / guest starring roles from quote unquote celebrities. So we have...
No, literally when that happened, I was like, what the hell is Seth Green and Breckenmeyer doing on my screen?
It ends up with Hiro just learning more about the world that he's in through the comics, but we don't really get too far deep into it, so we'll talk about that more in the second episode. So Mahinda basically, he puts Elephant Man out of his misery, and then he realizes his powers have gone, and he tries to leave, but he's stopped by Arthur and Flint, and that's basically his storyline for the next couple of episodes. They don't really give him much.
He doesn't make himself into a beautiful butterfly yet?
No. Oh, yeah, no, it is this one, I think. Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Oh, God. These 2 episodes.
Arthur and Mohinder, and he's like, you like watching the sky too? And Mohinder's like, yeah, and I've noticed that, the last time these people got their powers, I just think it was a coincidence, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, they never really explain it.
Yeah.
Maybe Hero's reborn.
Should we talk about the eclipse and what do we think of the kind of storyline of heroes losing their powers during the eclipse?
It still doesn't make much sense to me, but I guess it's kind of one of those the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away situation. I feel like maybe because this season they did bring up religion quite a bit more so than they had in the previous 2 seasons. And I feel like they were just like, okay, maybe these guys are abusing their powers. They're not, thankful for them. So let's take them away and see how it goes. Whatever it is, whether it's biology or their version of God in that universe, I feel like maybe that's what it was. Because Sylar did depend on it. He is a smart guy without his powers. Claire is a nice girl without her powers. She's a lot less mopey and whiny, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And she couldn't feel pain and stuff. You know what I mean? It had all been leading to this whole first half of the season, to this moment where they lose their powers.
She even says that at one point. She can finally feel pain. It hurts like hell, but it feels wonderful, which kind of made me think that she was kind of into bondage, but yeah.
Her and Elle, I'm telling you, that was my ship.
I don't really know how I feel about this. I think I really liked the kind of idea about, heroes not having their powers, and the eclipse was kind of a good way of doing it, but logically it kind of doesn't track. They never really specify it because it's is it a special kind of eclipse that kind of takes away their powers? Because Hiro should have had his powers taken away when the eclipse started back in feudal Japan, but he manages to stop the arrows. So yeah, it's kind of...
But no, that maybe, you know what? Because we're saying that basically Adam was the first, like, Evo, right?
Yeah.
Is what they were saying.
Yeah.
And so maybe it was only for him that it affected him or something, because space-time continuum.
Maybe.
It never made much sense to me. I'm trying to fan wake on the fly here.
So, you might as well just go straight on. I think, are you done with everything? Because I think I am.
Yeah, I don't care about anything. We can get into the review. This one's brutal for me. So let's talk about some of our best stuff. Who would you say was the best character for this episode?
I think I'm going to have to go with Peter. Because I think he kind of stands up for himself. And he kind of stands up to his brother. And maybe it's just because of the fact that he kind of hasn't been pushed to the forefront from like these past couple of blocks of episodes. So you kind of, less is more for him, and it makes his screen time feel that bit more special. Sorry, no pun intended. But yeah, it kind of does, especially with the character who seems like has been our main protagonist throughout the whole kind of season. First, second, and the beginning of this thing. It feels like, you know, it kind of makes him standing up to his brother feel that bit more special. And it seems like more of a moment because he's not in it as much, and this is what they choose to spend their time with him doing. So yeah, how about you?
I'm gonna go with Sylar. I like an unsure Sylar. I mean, I don't buy into the whole hunger thing and how it works or whatever, but I don't know, seeing Sylar unsure of himself and actually glad that his powers are gone, like, that was a twist I wasn't expecting. I thought he would be like this miserable, mopey dude, you know? So obsessed with being special. It's what drove him to do what he did in the first place. So it's just like, oh, okay, I like the flip side of this.
Fair enough.
Best character interaction.
I don't even know if I can give one, to be honest.
I know mine. It's Matt, Hondo, and Hiro when they show up on the door.
I might just have to go with Matt and Daphne's dad, but only for the reason that Daphne's dad just goes, "Why are you looking like that?"
So you have to poop. I wanted him to say that so bad.
And then just closes the door in his face. So yeah, because I really want to give it to like Claire and HRG, because I think that it's good moments that they have, but it's just the fact that it's all kind of undone by the end of the episode. It kind of ruins it for me.
Best scene?
Claire getting shot and being able to feel it. No, not. I just think, you know, I'm glad that, you know, she's kind of starting to feel pain, not because, you know, she can't feel pain. I'm just glad that she's hurt for once and kind of showing some kind of humanity as opposed to her Mary Sue-ness. So yeah. How about you?
Shots fired again. Boom. Best scene. This is brutal. I'm gonna give it to HRG and Claire where he's training her, because he's just being a little snarky butt wife.
Yeah.
He's like, come at me full swing. She's like, all right, and he tries, and he's just like, basically he's doing that hero in Japan thing, just laughing at his opponent. I don't know. Something about that was just kind of charming to me.
It's also the fact that he kind of gives her like compliment followed by like 3 put downs. So yeah.
It's the reverse, sweetie. Yeah. You're middle management. You should know that. Best line.
I am going to go with Sylar. I hate heroes. And that is a kind of meta thing, because at the moment I kind of am hating heroes. But yeah, just for that. Maybe we need your help. You have to help fix Hiro. Look, what does it say? It says you have to fix Hiro. So yeah.
I got 2 favorite lines, actually. This one is nowhere to clear. The good news is you certainly have got the strength. The bad news is you're clumsy, slow, and obvious. The next one is between Matt and Mr. Millbrook. Why don't you just let me inside? Are you threatening me? I said, let me in. Why do you turn your head sideways? What's your problem, son?
Followed up by the door closing in his face. I will go through quick trivia and then we'll do the grades. I've got Sam's line, "Don't worry, I've got plenty of Red Hulks for everyone," refers to co-executive producer Jeff Loeb's creation of the Red Hulk for Marvel Comics.
Boo! Nobody likes the Red Hulk.
According to the cast commentary for this episode, Christine Rose was meant to do the opening commentary, but, you know, obviously they allowed Sunil to do it instead. Bad decision. I know, right? I kind of would have liked Mama Petrelli, especially after where she was in the last episode. It should have been like either Arthur or Angela, because, you know, they're the heads of their kind of teams at this point. Although both Spider-Man's identity was revealed and Captain America's death during Civil War had occurred by this time, this happens chronologically. Hiro would have had to jump another year into the future before Rolk would have premiered. So, yeah. Basically, timeline problems. As per
Whoopsies! Okay, so yeah, let's do the grade.
I'm going to have to go... I think this is, the third straight episode? D. Because nothing much really happens in this episode apart from me getting very, very angry. How about you?
For me, I'm gonna say it's a C-. I like that Daphne's finally away from Matt. It was nice, and I see the bro TP building back up between Hiro and Ando. I really am glad they were building towards something and they actually followed through on it with Claire. I think she really needed that jolt of reality.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because sometimes they build up stuff and it doesn't pan out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, finally, I was like, okay.
That's pretty much everything with heroes, isn't it? They build up to something and it never pans out.
They just close the door in your face.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally. So, yeah, that's why I had to see myself. I just couldn't do another D- or a D+. I just couldn't. So I had to fan wing this.
Fair enough. So, we're going to move on to the graphic novels, Cage Bird 1 and Cage Bird 2. So, these are Daphne-centric comics, so I know how you feel about these ones, so yeah. Basically, it starts off back in the past with Daphne, and it shows that she always wanted to be like her mom. Her mom kind of starts to fall ill and dies, and around about the same time, Daphne starts to get cerebral palsy, which is something that we learn in the episode just gone. It's one of those kind of tropes where the last kind of thing you say to your dying parent is the last kind of words that they hear, and obviously it's a bad thing that Daphne says to her mom before she dies. She sees the ghost of her mother, the eclipse happens, and she gets powers, and then Thompson arrives, and that's basically the end of the episode. And by episode, I mean novel. So yeah, the only bit of trivia I've got for this is Cage Bird borrows its title from Maya Angelou's autobiography, I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings. So yes.
Yikes, that's heavy. Anyway, this was written by Tim Kepler. Tim with 2 M's, by the way. And the art was by Aletha Martinez, who we got very familiar with over the summer run of graphic novels. The Easter egg was a behind-the-scenes image of Sunil. I think it's in his cocoon, or preparing to cocoon himself, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so the next up we have the Cage Bird 2, and it has her dad kind of buying into Thompson's kind of, she has to get her powers tested, and she says a bad thing to him and runs. And kind of like with her mother, the last thing she leaves on a bad note with her dad. It tells her story how she gets the job with the guy in France, and then it has her coming back, and it's kind of like her second chance to make it right with her dad. And it kind of builds more onto the second episode about how she kind of makes it right with her dad, and it ends with her leaving again, but this time not because she's running away from something, she's heading towards something, which obviously is Matt. But yeah.
Same people wrote and did the art as last issue, Tim Kepler and Aletha Martinez respectively. The Easter egg was a behind the scenes image of Hayden Panettiere lying dead, quote unquote dead in the hospital.
Yay.
So
we do not have any emails for this one, but I did want to bring up something. We broke 1K downloads for the month of July. So yes, thank you all for downloading and not streaming, because the download counts towards our numbers. So yes, thank you very much. It's kind of cool.
Was it iTunes download?
Yes.
Because we have Stitcher, we have everything else, and we have SoundCloud.
Exactly. And we had the following people live tweet along the episode with us. They were either tweeting, retweeting, or faving. We have Fangirling Nerd _, English Idiot 101, Games Are Easy, Miller 101, and Soft _Guitar 60.
Ooh, I heard new names. I love when I hear new names. But I love my old names too. I just love tweeting along, basically. Yes. Looks like it's time for some shameless plugs and self-promotion. We'll start with the show contact info. We here at Primatech Files love listener feedback. If you would like to get a hold of us, we have a ton of ways. You can email us via primatechfiles@gmail.com. You can leave us a private message or interact with our posts over on facebook.com/primatechfiles. We live tweet 2 episodes per week every Saturday starting at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. For more information, be sure to follow us on Twitter at Primatech Files. You can also find us on Clamor, Tumblr, and YouTube by simply searching for Primatech Files. If you enjoy this podcast, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. What's that? You don't have an iTunes account? That's okay. We're on a lot of podcatcher services such as Stitcher and SoundCloud. All you have to do is search for, you guessed it, Primatech Files. We're also on Libsyn. And if you want to follow our RSS feed there, all you have to do is go to primatechfiles.libsyn.com and bookmark the site to stay up to date with this podcast. Libsyn is spelled Libsyn, just in case you were wondering. We look forward to interacting with you.
If you love our podcast, be sure to check out Southgate Media Group's iTunes provider page to see a list of what other podcasts are hot and trending in our network. Or you can take that one step further and visit southgatemediagroup.com, where you can find a full list of our 80 plus podcasts, along with weekly blogs and information about all the hosts. With so many podcasts that cover everything from anime to wrestling, there's sure to be tons of podcasts that could interest you.
Hey guys, you should know by now that you can find me on Twitter at Lilith Hellfire. If you have a Tumblr, be sure to check out it's lilithhellfire.tumblr.com. And of course, be sure to swing by my blog if you are a pop culture junkie or comic book geek at littlepopculturevulture.blogspot.com. I also host several other podcasts on the Southgate Media Group network. Some of them are The Flashpoint, Queen Consolidated, and Channel 52. So if you are into, obviously, DC comic book related stuff, be sure to check it out.
You can find my writings at tvbinges.com. It's a place for all your binge watching needs, and you can also create your own TV binge and we'll help promote it. We do a monthly binge watch, which you're more than welcome to join in. Just go to their Twitter at tvbinges just to find out more information. You can find me on Twitter at RickyJDS. That's RickyJDiaz, or Z if you're American.
And now it's time for the wrap-up. Yay! My favorite part for these next 4 episodes. Well, that's all we have for you on this installment of Primatech Files. We hope you've enjoyed our discussion on episode 310, Eclipse Part 1. Please remember to keep sending us those emails. Don't be afraid to interact with our Facebook posts. And when you can, join in on the weekly live tweets over on Twitter every Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ricky, you know what to do.
Download the podcast, save the world.